welcome everybody to episode 95 of the Corona Field podcast. Your co-host Steve, always joined by
Charles is here.
And then, of course, in Illinois, we have...
VP can't take Steve serious right now. He's just looking at him like, you ninja, you're an idiot.
I feel like I'm questioning whether I need to call Homeland Security.
I'm telling you, VP is just looking at you like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Whoa. It's a little tight on my ears, though. I'd say that much. But it's wearing in.
Oh, yeah. So, you got to really... It's like an old pair of shoes. You just got to, form it to the head.
Good enough. I don't know how often I'm supposed to wash this thing either. So... So, the lady at Michelle's work, now there's a new rule in Michigan. If you go into a store, you're supposed to have a face mask on. I don't know about Illinois. Did they enforce that in Illinois?
Yeah. If you're going into a store or someplace you can't socially distance, you have to wear one.
Yeah. So I've been wearing these when I go to the store and stuff like that. And these are made by Dan in housekeeping at Walter Ruther. His aunt, Paul Byrne. Paul? His aunt's name's Paul? All right.
Not Paula, just Paul.
No, it's Paula.
Still in the background. Paula!
Yeah, because Michelle forgot an A.
That's the hostage that he took, BB. No. Screaming from the dungeon.
She supplies custom face. And they only charge $5. I have another one here too. That's cool. School.
$5 is pretty much what they got into it with their time and stuff. So they're not trying to get rich off nobody. That's cool.
Anybody. But I just wanted to show everybody, and this thing's hot, so it's coming off immediately. Oh man. I like the Ninja look. You should have kept the Ninja look the whole time. It's too hot, that damn thing. But
I ordered my Arnold ones that say "We'll be back" on it right on the front. I ordered it directly from Arnold's website, so I'll have to show that off when I get it.
Dude, I keep watching Arnold and that donkey miniature horse.
Dude, it's great.
Lulu and Whiskey.
Dude, he's there. He's feeding them and shit. It's so good, man. He's at home polishing cowboy boots and shit. What is he up to? Crazy Austrian.
So, yeah. So, May the 4th is Star Wars Day, and it'll be the first day I'll be headed back to the office to work. So, I will be out in the public with Charles now. But I only have one person in my office, and it's pretty easy to social distance for me. But, Bill, you're still going to be at home, right?
Yeah, the order here is till through the end of May, so we'll be at home till at least the end of May, probably still a little bit longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has there been a conversation with your job about what they're going to do going forward, or they haven't even touched base with that yet? Have you had that conversation or anything?
Well, they're planning kind of how they'll start to bring it back. They're going to start doing I forget the term for it, but essentially creating like the A red-blue team or A B team. They'll split the teams up within each group, and they'll send them back staggered. So like one group of us will go back 1 week, the other group will stay home, and they'll do that for a while until it's a little bit safer. And then I have no idea. Like our move downtown is completely in limbo at this point.
You should have them name your teams a little better, like Tango or Alpha. And
dude. I got something cool. I'm Team Bravo being on Tuesday if you need me.
I don't get to do that. So.
Oh, man. That'd be funny. So the one thing we like to do here in Michigan is to stay on top of the news feed. So now lately they tried suing our governor now because the crazy militia and everything else in our state. They tried to sue her over all the stuff that's been happening. Of course, they lost. It actually went through pretty quick, but they did lose the lawsuit because she's doing unconstitutional things allegedly to us. And then lately, I don't know if you guys saw another one with gun-toting guys at the Capitol happened this week as well.
Really aggressive this time. Really aggressive. Like next level aggression. Like, I don't know, man. Like at some point, I get it's your constitutional right and all this kind of stuff as people are talking, but dude, man, that was super aggressive, and good on those state troopers that kept their cool, because man alive, that was crazy.
Yeah, someone brought up, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, I was a little surprised that nothing escalated. That was very impressive that everyone kind of kept it cool.
That's
that
crazy.
Could have pulled along very easily.
Someone posted on Facebook, and I got to agree, it's the ultimate case of white privilege. Because if you imagine that many African Americans showed up with guns at the Capitol. Oh, well, so sorry.
Keep it sanitary, Steve. What are you doing?
I'm exercising my constitutional right.
Yeah, TV. BB's always on the hand sanitizer, man. He's ready for it.
He's very good with that. He must have it by the gallon over there.
I love the smell of that alcohol.
Prime.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, I get your point. So if the thought being, if those were black protesters, how does that end? You know what I mean? Like there's definitely that going around. I argued with a few guys at work about it. I was like, I got to tell you, I think that those state troopers not only handled themselves well, they were coached well. You know what I mean? Like they had someone in there like, listen, we're going to have idiots today. So I would argue that they were so well coached. I don't think that the other team, if you will, didn't matter who got on the field. They were pretty well coached. And that was my whole rebuttal to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now the other fun one that happened outside of Michigan actually happened in Bill's backyard. I don't know where this was, Bill, but you may know. So a mom who was a first responder, I don't know what she's, a nurse or whatever she was, while she was gone, her son, and Charles dies, her son had a house party, and the videos leaked online for this. Like thousands of people at this house. I mean, no room. They're all smashed in. It was like an old school like rap video. It looked
it made TMZ. It was so crazy. There was 1,000 people. They said it was crazy. It's so irresponsible, man. Especially for a community that's getting ravaged by it. You know what I mean? Like it just seemed super irresponsible. As Steve tries to get his head in
video. Yeah, and when you see the video and see how few people had any sort of like protection at all, no masks, no.
And didn't give a shit. We're just like
they didn't have their Hulk mask on. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, they didn't pay $5 for their masks.
So did they cover any more of that in Illinois, Bill, or tell you what city it was in? I didn't catch that.
Oh, it was in Chicago.
Actually in Chicago. Okay.
I believe it was in South Side. But
with Jim Croce? Wait a second. Bad Leroy Brown was there. I didn't see him.
I didn't see anyone in there that looked like Jim Croce. But
were you invited, Bill?
No.
You didn't get the invite?
He's still checking his inbox. Like, what's up, dude?
Too bad. I'm very, very upset that I wasn't invited. That would have been
that's
the party of the year.
Yeah,
but
dude, it looks crazy.
Also, we had actually had a couple legal challenges to the orders in Illinois too. Slightly different approach. They didn't use constitutional rights. One state down in southern Illinois, a state representative sued, basically claiming that the governor only had the rights to 30 days for.
They played that up here too.
Order. Yeah, and actually. The circuit court judge sided with the representative, so he was temporarily, he was exempted from the rules. And now there's another somewhere else in a different part of the state that's trying a similar suit, but trying to turn it into more of a class action and one that would apply to the entire state. I have to imagine by the time it actually gets legislated and completed, this will all be over anyway. But I think the argument, the issue here is that the state Senate and Congress and their Congress and state and the House of Representatives are complaining that they are not being they're not having the opportunity to decide whether this should be happening or not, and that
it's just being dictated to them. Yeah. That's exactly what they're playing against Gretchen over here. Yeah, it's the same thing. She shouldn't have the rights after this long. I had a big argument. Again, I'm just getting into arguments with the 8 people we got at work lately. You know what I mean? So, like, I had a big argument on this one, too, because I go, listen, she's using science. It's not – everyone's making this political, but it's not political if you can point to the science that backs up the decision. It's not like she's trying to do it to put a hurting on, Trump supporters and all this kind of stuff. She's just trying to keep people safe. And that's – I find it, like, irresponsible – for business owners, and I don't know. It's a fine line of like, how do you keep people working in an economy going, and then how do you also keep people safe? It's, again, we've talked about it at length about every week, but I don't know how you do it. But if she's got science backing her up, I don't know how you go against her.
I was talking with some family members today.
That sounds good.
Actually, my mother.
Yeah.
Well,
right to work,
we weren't arguing the point really, but she did make the point that a lot of people in Michigan think that her actions are completely politically based. That the theory now is that she's going this route because she's apparently on a short list of
VP
one of Biden's
yeah.
potential vice president candidates and thinks that, by kind of coming out and getting out in front of this, it might make her more likely to be chosen. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean,
especially when you point to the states that have opened, that's cases skyrocketed. So again, the science is in her corner. I don't know. I get your point, or not your point, but like the conversation you had with your mom about it. I get that point, but if the science backs the decision, I don't know how you can, excuse me, imply political issues in it. It's touchy. Steve's opening up cough drops or something.
No, I'm putting my bags away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is she still being too harsh? What is the opinion around the digital room? I know BV's in Illinois, but he definitely knows about Michigan trappings. What's your guys' opinion?
Compared to every other state, she's right kind of in par. The only ones that really opened up a lot were Georgia and Florida. Everyone else is kind of the same. So I don't know. And people need to relax a little bit, but I understand, you don't want to mess with people's pocketbooks, their business, and that makes people riled up, so.
Then it turned out today, Florida's not giving any info now. You see that? Like, dude.
No, what does that mean?
So he basically they want to stifle the case numbers and all that stuff since opening. So they don't want to point to an issue. I mean, BV, you have any opinion? What do you got?
Are they China now? Or?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, the thing with Michigan is, there are a few things, particularly back when they went to the point of, limiting specifically what you were able to consume in certain stores, like, the idea that they would cut off only food and things that were life. Because there's eventually, there's going to end up being certain things that people would really need and not be able to get. But all in all, I mean, it's, I understand, and I know I went off a little bit last week about people and their rights and whatnot. I mean, I'm all for people's rights and that, but at the same time, I mean, there has to be a certain, how could anyone, and that was actually the flaw of the argument, the constitutional approach was the wrong way to go in that lawsuit, because even if it violates some rights, the public, the public safety issue, and as a matter of public policy, if it's going to hurt the majority, for the benefit of a few, it's not going to end. It sucks.
You can't argue for one side.
Yeah, and people are getting hit in the pocketbook, and some people are going to be irreparably damaged financially and otherwise. I don't know. I mean, if I guess the way I look at it, if my leaders where I live have to choose between, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but if you have to choose between financial benefit and people's lives, there really is no question. Right? It's people's lives. So I guess I'd rather see them be more conservative and piss some people off than be too, open about the whole thing and, everything's fine. We've hit the curve, reopen everything, and then watch everything skyrocket and then triple, what it should have been in the first place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm okay with it.
And if you're bored, you can go to California. They're having a protest today, so I just saw that.
Yeah,
I saw some of that, man.
Florida's had some or rather, California's had some really hardcore restrictions. You know what I mean? Like, they've been really staunch. They were one of the first states to shut it down. So
shut it down.
It's crazy. I tell you, the one thing that scares me, speaking of that too, is all this stuff that's coming out now where Trump is implying, and I'm sure he has more information than the average American on all this by far, he's a president, but that like it was released by a mess up in a lab in China. Have you guys seen a lot of this stuff too? Yeah. That's scary because the world is going to come for retributions if they can pin it to like some kind of screw up in China. Like, oh my Lord, like you went and ruined the world, China. Like, we're not cool with you right now. You know what I mean? Like that makes a whole other conversation where who knows what the world looks like in a year or two if they can pin it on them for doing something stupid. Ooh, mama. That scares me. I'm just like, dude, there's what, the 1.7 billion people or whatever in China and stuff like that. Like, dude, that's scary
there's a couple
shit.
of them.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us our uplifting stats for the week, girl?
Well, so we're down again. So we went to Wayne County, Michigan, where Steve and I reside. 17,106 cases. And again, the math, I love to do it. We went to 1 out of 102 people have had a case of coronavirus in the county of Wayne, which is down from 113. So if you could imagine during your day how fast you go past 102 people, and the odds of you going past someone with corona is very high. So it, again, we keep talking about it every week, but it's obviously what's going on in the world. But man, we're getting really low at this point, man. We're gonna be below 100 by next Sunday. It's like, dude, this is crazy.
That has got to let up, one of the two,
Yeah,
right?
and that's, eesh. Dude.
For the record, I didn't pass up 102 people this weekend. I stayed in my house playing Gears Tactic all weekend.
And good on you, and that's what you're supposed to do, because I tell you this much, I did not touch a home center or nothing like that. It's beautiful weather. How's the weather in Chicago today? It's beautiful in Chicago.
It's like it was almost 80 yesterday. It's in the 70s today.
People are out and about, living their lives, getting the sun on the skin. It's like, dude, I'll be in the house. I'll see you. Like, it's scary.
I did go to Lowe's Friday morning, but there's barely anybody there.
Good on you. But by Friday night, I guarantee you it was on jam, dude. That's crazy.
Some places, like Michelle drove by Cattleman's because she wanted. The line was past Planet Fitness. That's how long the line was.
Yeah, people stocking up on. Well, they keep talking about because the meat industry, Steve. If you want to keep going down a road, man, I'm terrified.
We're gonna lose some weight.
Dude, no, I'm eating them black beans. I'm like, it's the only protein I can get. Like, dude,
that 3 ribeye dinner we had today,
dude, enjoy for sure, man.
To have a soybean steak.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that, to your point, people are just inundating a big butcher shop like Cattleman's. They're probably over there just hoping to stock their freezers. Now comes the other thing too. I'm just full of good news today. But like, these people are gonna stock up on all this meat, and then it's spring, summer. You know what I mean? You're gonna lose your power in your deep freezers and stuff like that. You better have a backup generator. Oh my god. Anyway, let's do something positive.
All right, Prepper Charles.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's talk about Steven the Ninja Mask more. It's a little more uplifting.
We can start a garden and shoot rats all right.
Yeah, baby.
How you didn't put that on here?
No.
All right.
Well, we're not done. We're still in the middle of war over here.
Oh, Elmer Fudd over there is hunting rodents. All right, so let's go to some reviews this week. Charles, you ever watch a show and just wish it was better?
And ironically enough, on Netflix, yes, quite a bit actually. Yeah.
And you said this in the past. I think we both said it. Yeah. We're both dying for that next sci-fi show, and Lost in Space just is not it. I've said it 2 seasons of this thing. Yeah. And they make the dad the most useless guy on the planet. He's an ex-Navy SEAL, right?
So he should be resourceful as all hell, right? Yeah.
First episode, they're on some planet where you have to have this tent because the atmosphere is toxic.
Okay.
And the tent rips. This is where all their plants are. This is where he hunts his rats. And the tent rips, and you're supposed to wear safety gear. Of course, he just runs out there, burns his face and everything up. Geez. That's the first episode. Second episode, they're going to sail this big ship across this water because they're going to hit lightning, whatever. What's he do? He crashes it into rocks.
The Homer Simpson of Navy SEALs over here.
He's the worst. And then there's this, later this season, there's a well, like they're drilling a well, and they're on another planet now. And he goes down there because he knows a little bit about wells, and he falls, and a spear goes through his side. Yeah, he's the biggest buffoon. They make this guy terrible on this show. And I still
super good dad right there.
Oh, man.
Dad's a liability.
Now I'm 2 seasons in. I know it ends. Season 3 is the final season, so I have to finish it now. I've been through 2 mediocre seasons. Maybe the 3rd season, something will happen. But this is a 5 out of 10. Lost in Space Season 2. I guess if you're on quarantine and you don't have anything to watch, you're dying for sci-fi, like Michelle and I were, well, this is it. This is all you can
Is there a lot of stuff with the kids? I want to say Lost in Space had a lot of kids stuff, too, doesn't it? Isn't it a family and stuff like that? Yeah.
It's 2 daughters, a little boy, and then the mom and dad. And basically, the dad's a retard. The mom and the 2 daughters say
he's special. You're not supposed to use those words.
Oh, I'm sorry. The dad's special. Yeah. and everyone else is smart. So there's that one. Now, the other one, you busted me a little bit on the Clone Wars. You hated it. And I realized most animated shows, because now I watch back seasons of Batman Beyond, right? Now, Batman Beyond is essentially DC's version of Spider-Man.
Yep.
It's basically Batman in high school is what it was. And I've realized over 22 episodes a season, only about 40% is worth watching. The other 60% is just terrible. And that's the same thing with this one. And it's going to be next week, by the way, for Steve's Animation Corner. Clone Wars, the final season is wrapping up. May 4th is the final one. That's 12 episodes, and boy, do I got some thoughts on that one.
Oh, jeez.
But Batman Beyond, the complete series, it's nowhere close to the original Batman the Animated Series. And Charles has it on his shelf sitting over there.
Yeah, it's
the
great.
original, I would say the percentages are reversed with the original Batman. That was probably 70% good episodes, and there was some wonky ones, but for the most part, the original Batman...
I've seen it recently. It still holds up. I've watched the OG Batman the Animated Series. It still holds up. It's very entertaining.
And Batman Beyond, it suffers from... first off, he's a high school kid who's had no training, but just becomes Batman with a blink of an eye.
They love the high school angle in comic books. Like, dude, when in doubt, put the superhero in high school. It's like, dude, come on.
He looks cool. I mean, the character looks cool in the Batman suit, and his villains are very weak. That's probably the worst part is where Batman had the Joker and all these iconic villains. Batman Beyond's kind of got these crap ones, and they occasionally bring back an old one, but it's 50 years in the future, so most of Batman's villains are dead. So, Batman Beyond, I had nostalgia glasses on when I got it. It's more of a Steve 6 than anything else. The Batman animated series is still like a 9, but Batman Beyond, it's okay. Now, this next one, I got to ask, did anyone see this besides
I did, and I'll let you go into your corner on it because I have a definite opinion on this.
Okay, Parks and Recreation is a reunion show, but it was more for charity. Listen, I get it. They can't film stuff together. They put something together here. I will tell you, I liked it better than the live Saturday Night Live shows that they're doing from their homes. But
this was terrible, dude. You're trying to be super nice. I was looking at Heather. I'm like, dude, this is just. This goes down with the why did they do it? Why did they make it? So everyone's been clamoring for a reunion to Parks and Rec. I don't care if you have. First of all, Ben Wyatt looks super creepy. Has he eaten this whole quarantine? He looks like he's really got some issues going on.
He looked unbathed and thin.
Dude, I don't know. So Chris Pratt was all over it because he's obviously Chris Pratt now. He's no longer Andy Dwyer. He's the big star. You know what I mean? Like,
I was surprised he was in it.
It seems like everyone came back. I mean, John Krasinski's got the same vibe for his Office people. You know what I mean? And John Krasinski's by no means a Chris Pratt level, but this is terrible. And like you said, like, I get it's for charity or whatever, but just make a real episode. Like, I looked at Heather, I want to turn it off. I love Parks and Rec so much that it hurt me how bad that became. I was just like, this is so bad. Aziz Ansari looked like he was filming from someone's basement. It was super weird. John Ralphio came back, but he's in like a weird echoey house. It's just... Dude, Nick Offerman. Yeah, dude, okay. What highlight?
I thought the highlight was the dentist commercial. I thought that was pretty
the
good.
Jams guy was pretty funny. Yeah, and the Purd stuff was kind of funny, too. I thought the Purd stuff was kind of hilarious. But, like, the way that Jerry did the stupid filter bit that everyone's done 1,000 times on their... You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay. Like, dude, Parks and Rec is so much better than that particular crappy episode. I just was bummed. Steve was being way nicer than I was. I literally looked at Heather and was like, do we need to bail on this, man? Because I love Ron Swanson. As I've got my Charlie Mulligan Steakhouse thing in the background, I love him. Like, he is comedy gold to me, but this is just a huge misstep.
So I'd give it probably a 5, and that's being nice because it's charity.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a solid 2, son. Like, dude, I'm that annoyed. 2.
Now, online people loved it.
Hit that with a deuce because it was a deuce. Dude, it was total shit.
Bill, have you ever seen Parks and Rec, or have any idea what we're talking about?
Yeah, I didn't watch the entire series, but I did watch it from time to time. It's a hilarious show, but I didn't see the reunion.
So take all the parts you like about it, have them in a Zoom meeting, and have them lamely tell bad jokes. It was so bad. This did not need to be made. I love Amy Poehler. I love Nick Offerman. I can keep going. You know what I mean? Why was there all the bugs where Chris Pratt was filming, dude? I was obsessed with like their filming situation. Like he had like all these gnats buzzing around him. He wasn't in the shed when he was doing the guitar. Like I don't know, man.
Maybe it's a Schwarzenegger's house.
Yeah,
and he's out back with the donkey.
Dude, it's super weird. I don't know. Dude, don't watch this, people.
Yeah. So there you go. The Parks and Rec reunion. They tried, but wow, it was a little well. I hate to steal my daughter's phrase, but very cringy, I guess you could say.
I'm with Holly on this one. Cringy. Oh god.
Yeah, that was not good. So the next one you watched last week. So out of curiosity, I had to see this. I saw
One of
Extraction.
Netflix's biggest movies now. I was reading that article.
Top 10. Yeah. It's only that because Chris Hemsworth is in it. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
It was very Indian.
It was very basic, right? Like, what did it do differently? You know what I mean? Like, I'll wait for it.
If someone else was in this, a no-name actor, this movie probably wouldn't even go to DVD. Yeah. They would just put it on maybe basic cable somewhere. Because of Chris Hemsworth is the only. That's got to be the only. I mean, it wasn't a terrible movie.
Yeah, it was just generic as all hell. That was my whole beef with it.
The action was good. They never really. Besides, his son died of lymphoma. He never really understood why Chris Hemsworth's character had a death wish, like why he was ready to die so much. They never really kind of covered that too much. And then the part where he jumps off that cliff and then just meditates the bottom. How did he stay down there? Like, you ever go underwater?
Who gives a shit? You're putting way too much thought. You're putting more thought than the writers did. Okay, stop.
Okay, so there's a Steve 6. This is a Netflix 5. Yeah. This is with every other Netflix action movie. I don't know. I mean, I want to say it was terrible, but if I went to the theater to see it, I would have been annoyed. It's like if I paid money to see that. But I mean, Netflix, I guess you are paying money because you're $12 a month. But yeah, whatever. I mean, if you're bored, again, if you're on quarantine and you have nothing to do, watch that and Lost in Space. You'll have a whole solid week of stuff to watch. Lost in Space was 10 episodes and an hour a pop, so it took a while to get through that one. All right. So which one of you two watched Flea Bag?
I did, actually. BB, have you checked out this Flea Bag show on Amazon Prime, or do you even know of it?
I haven't heard of it, no.
Yeah, so this got, again, I got like an extra phlegmy here today. So this is a movie or a show rather that garnered a bunch of Emmy attention. Yeah. The Obamas talked about it, all the stuff, right? So we had signed up for 2 weeks at Amazon Prime, and whenever we do this, I watch that Making the Cut show. That was one of those Project Runway knockoffs, like I was kind of talking to you guys about. But anyway, so we decided, me and Heather were like, well, let's check out this Flea Bag show. You know, we tend to, gravitate towards some shows that we hear a lot about and all this kind of stuff. This show, first of all, everything is. So Steve likes the show Shameless. I think the show Shameless is super cheesy and just like over the top, but at least it doesn't try to be serious at the same time. Like, you know, you don't want to be endeared to these characters. They don't try to like make. This one is like a Me Too movement British chick going around and like weirdly breaking the fourth wall, talking to the camera. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he thinks he's gonna blah blah blah. You
like know? Deadpool does.
Yeah, this is just such a turd. Oh my god! Like, and again, she's one of these people. So she like steals a statue from like her stepmom to sell, and like she's just a vile human being. And unlike Shameless, when you're just like you're supposed to buy in for this being like this white trash, you know what I mean? In this Flea Bag show, you're supposed to like oddly be endeared to this chick, but she's just a piece of shit. So you're like, dude, I don't know. It just was terrible. She's also completely ugly, but supposed to be like hot and like, in touch with her sexuality. And it's just like, it's so wrong. We watched 3 episodes of it. Me and Heather both like, this is a shit show. Do not recommend Flea Bag. Critics loved it because I think Shameless has gotten everyone into like this dirtbag culture that like people just love right now. And another Amazon show that just sucks. Everything on Amazon sucks. I don't care what Steve will tell you. Amazon shows are not. Go to Amazon Prime for the shipping, period, is what I would tell you.
You haven't watched Jack Ryan?
No, I haven't watched Jack Ryan, but that looks like another Gennaro suspense thriller thing. I know you're very high on it and stuff like that. I like the tuna. I like John Krasinski. But from what you describe is he's in it, but he's not the main. So I don't know. I'm just annoyed. Get me away from Amazon Prime Video. Give me my shitty Netflix shows.
Yeah, I've gotten very little out of Amazon Prime television.
Yeah.
And I think I'm the only one of the 3 that actually liked Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But that's all I can think of that I saw on Amazon Prime that I even half-ass liked.
Yeah. And a lot of people tell me I'm supposed to like The Boys too. I've heard nothing but good things about that. But
Well, it's superheroes, so I'm not sure you're gonna like it. I mean, I liked it, but it's superheroes. I'm not sure you're gonna like it.
Yeah, so anyway, count me out on Flea Bag. Not a fan. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think I've heard Steve talk about it. That's why I brought it up.
No, I avoided that one because it didn't look good to me, even though it won a ton of awards.
Well, let me tell you something, Bill, Steve. You won that scenario.
So, Bill, before we get out of the reviews, have you caught the Pistons part on the Michael Jordan documentary?
Oh yeah, I saw and I was surprised they are doing 2 episodes a week. So I saw the last 2 episodes last weekend, where they talked about the Bulls kind of getting through the Pistons, and I saw some of Isaiah Thomas's response, and so yeah, I have to be honest. I used to love the Pistons. I've always just never really liked Isaiah.
What's your basis on that? What's your basis for the beef?
He just always rubbed me the wrong way.
He's not what you came to like that gritty bad boys Pistons for anyway.
No, he was like the snug bitch that
hid behind all the grunts.
Let Lambeer and all them kind of go after him, and I was a very big Joe Dumars fan back from that team.
Were both episodes based on the Pistons rivalry?
No. They went. The 3rd episode actually spent a real long period of time sort of doing the backstory of Dennis Rodman and talking through a lot of his. So they covered the Pistons with that too. They did also cover, the Bulls having to get through the Pistons and but then they'd gotten into the first championship where they'd beaten the Lakers and whatnot. So they're moving forward. It looks like they are, because I saw a quick preview that they're going to cover something tonight where I guess the second championship year, Clyde Drexler had made some comment about them being the 2 best players, and it rubbed Jordan the wrong way. And I guess Jordan made it like his goal during the entire series to just piss on Clyde Drexler. So I think they're going to go sequentially kind of through as they get to tell the story at the same time. So that makes me think they probably will at some point delve into the questions about his gambling and his dad's death, since I think that's the one part you're interested in.
Do you feel the show is going the right speed, too slow, or too fast?
I think it's going really well, and I like the fact that they did 10 episodes out of it, because they're giving you a lot of backstory, but it's not so much backstory that you're bored with it. They're going through it at a good pace. They're telling you what you need to know, and then there's just really good little stories and little pieces of information and tidbits that you wouldn't have picked up if you weren't, really, really close to it at the time. And again, it's you take the way ESPN does these things, they're really good at telling a story, and it's one of the best so far. It's turning out to be one of the best sports documentary series I've ever seen.
Wow.
So there you go. We're week-to-week updates on Jordan. I don't have to watch it. I just listen to what Bill tells me.
Yeah,
I'm good to go. So,
but I do think I'm remiss.
It's saving me 2 hours.
I do think I'm remiss by not watching it. I got to get after it. I think it sounds compelling as all hell, and BB's praise of it. And BB's not alone. A lot of people are praising it, and I don't know if that's lack of sports content right now or what it is, but it sounds good.
It's worth the watch, I think.
So, in essence, Bill's the only one who saw something good this week. Lost in Space was kind of a turd. And beyond the nostalgia glasses there, it's not as good as you remember. Parks and Rec tried a train wreck reunion show. Extraction is as bad as Charles says it is. And Flea Bag, the nominated show, is kind of bad. But the Jordan thing seems to still be going good. So watch that out of all the stuff that we talked about this week. Next week, I will have the recap of Westworld Season 3. I don't know how many of you like it. That's ending tonight. And, of course, the Clone Wars ends this week, too. So Charles is very excited for that one.
I'm on the edge of my seat over here.
It's going to make for a phenomenal 15 minutes of review next week.
For all you non-nerds out there, May the 4th is Monday. So there's supposed to be some big Star Wars announcements coming tomorrow. There's supposed to be a new show being announced, and then there is the documentary on The Mandalorian being released. So a lot of Star Wars nerd stuff coming tomorrow, which I'll have to fill everyone in on, because I'm pretty sure Bill is sitting on the edge of his seat for all this.
This is like Star Wars franchise back for more cash.
Yeah, pretty. They don't have enough. All right, Charles. Now, while you've been in quarantine, besides, can we cover the fact that you may have corona? Because what is all the coughing and gagging?
I don't know,
doing?
man. I'm extra phlegmy today. It's not a good sign. I check my temperature every morning, rectally, of course, and I'm good. So I don't think I have corona.
As long as you do that.
Yeah.
So you've been playing tons of board games. So let's do a board game roundup. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just figured I'd bring this up. We're trying to fill in some other segments of stuff, and this is one of those things that my family has loved playing a lot of board games for years. And Steve kind of remembers back when Holly used to have a personality. You know, you can get a younger kid to play a board game. When they get to high school age, they're just a douche and they don't want to do nothing fun. So, and that's where Holly's at. So, my daughter's still 8 and into it.
Full disclaimer: last week or the week before, we had a family night of Uno, so we did play that.
And so, so to Steve's point, I just wanted to kind of bring up some games that me and my family are loving on right now. A couple of good games that we picked up that were new, and just kind of tell you guys what they were. And then a couple of games that kind of don't hold up as you play them way too much during a lockdown quarantine. So a handful of games, Steve touched on one already that's really great, is Uno. Everyone should pay $9 for an Uno deck and just have it in your house.
I got one question about Uno.
Go ahead.
There's a couple new cards now since when I was a kid.
We play OG Uno. We play OG.
Oh, okay. So Holly had a newer deck, and one of the cards is to swap hands.
Oh, that's kind of cool, though. Yeah, that's a different wrinkle.
It sucks. I had Uno and was gonna go out because I had a wild in my hand, so I could have went out twice, and Holly swapped hands.
That's pretty good. That's a good. That's cool.
I hate that card.
Yeah. That's a neat wrinkle. We also have an Uno flip. There's a lot of variations on Uno. Any way you can get Uno is a really good game. Old school Sorry still holds up. Still a fun game. I'm sure his BV's even nodding on some Sorry love. It's a great game. Yahtzee, the old dice game, can still be fun too.
Yahtzee was Grandma McQuarrie's one of her favorite ones.
Oh, it's a fun time. Yeah, it's a fun time. Yeah, legit style. And then speaking of our grandma, playing Stratego. Stratego is a game that still holds up, dude. You still
break the bombs. Don't get the bombs.
You gotta kick the miner to pop the bombs and stuff like that. So those are some good ones. We also have a bingo cage. We like to do a little bingo in the house. That can be fun to play.
Is that Heather influence?
Yeah, she loves it, and that's a good time. Now, a handful of games that are kind of rough. We played so much Clue that I figured out the way, like, Clue gets old if you play too much of it. So, like, the problem with Clue is it's all about how many room cards you get. Because, like, you can spam Clue very easily, because the problem is you have to, the rooms are because you got to physically go to a room to accuse it in your accusation thing. That's the issue. So if you have that, the more room cards you have, the better you are. So it didn't hold up. It's kind of got annoying to me. Another one
is one of Michelle's favorites.
Oh, I got to tell you, like I can tell you who's going to win based on who gets the most room cards. I figured out Clue during this lockdown.
Charles broke the strategy.
The other one that's not a good game because of setup is Kerplunk. Kerplunk is the tube with the marbles on top of the chopsticks.
Right?
Yeah. Fun game, but it's like Jenga. You know what I mean? At the end of the game, you don't want to set that shit back up. You're like, this is annoying. And then the other one, and it's not a bad game, it's just we're missing it in this household, is Risk. Risk is good if me and Steve got a version of Risk and started playing Risk. The problem is you put Holly or Lorna or Heather or Michelle, they are out. They are just not.
They got 10 minutes.
They are not into Risk at all. And that's one of those things.
I had Risk on Xbox 360. I played it all the time. I love that game.
Yeah. But again, you bring in Michelle, she give you like one decent round. Like, I'm not into this. This sucks. So.
War-based stuff, they're out.
Yeah, and then I got a handful of different games, and I brought these up. These were newer games because again, much like Steve does with video games and how I do with a lot of randomness too, I wanted to keep expanding on because I don't want to play the same 6 games. We've been locked down for 46 weeks in this lockdown, so it's like I don't want to play the same games. So I got this game called Telepathy, and it's a pretty crazy game. It's I put a mix of Battleship and Clue. So what you do is you get this crazy board with all these different symbols on it, and then you pick a symbol, and then I pick a symbol, and then you try to guess through process of elimination, kind of like Battleship and Clue, what square you picked, what square I picked. That's a pretty fun game. There's another one called 13 Dead End Drive. Again, a mix of Clue and Mousetrap. It's got a lot of like these cool like traps that you spring on people. It can be kind of fun. Leaps and Ledges is another good one. It's basically, and I put it on here, it's vertical sorry. So basically, like you have instead of going around a board, you go up a tower for sorry, and you knock people off and stuff like that. And then Rummy Cube. Now this has got you, Michelle, and the Hensons written all over this. So this is like dominoes, but it's like dominoes and Rummy the Hand, like card game had a baby is basically what it is. And
That's a weird combination.
Yeah, and you're trying to kind of. Lorna loves it. She grabbed right a hold of it, and so you're making like number sequences, and that's how you play them, like how you do it by suits. Once you played it for one time, you'd get that it's just like a card game. And then the other one that we've got coming in is this other game called Scotland Yard that came out back in the day. One of you guys will play as the person who did it, and then the other two have to chase them around London on this map. And you have to figure out where they're at on this map of London and all this kind of stuff. So it's been really fun. We've been playing a bunch of board games, but like I said, some of the old school still hold up. One of the games two of the games that are very popular old school games that I hate. One is Monopoly.
Yeah, I was going to ask where that's at.
That's an abortion of a game because I don't have 55 hours even in lockdown to play this game. And then the other one that sucks is Life. The game of Life sucks.
Yeah, that's not on here. I'm surprised on that. Life isn't that long, though. It's not as long as Monopoly.
It still sucks. The only thing that's fun about Life is the weird plasticky bits when you're going, you know what I mean? Like you're spinning that wheel. That's the only thing.
I like the part about Life where you could gamble on the spins. So
Yeah.
What the only one I put on here? Where's Jenga? Not on your list.
It's not like I told you. Jenga's in that kerplunk category where it's fun, but like you play 2 rounds, and then you're just annoyed with setting that beast up. You're like, dude, I'm done with this shit. Like, screw that. There's a handful of games that are tough to set up.
So Bill, you probably don't play board games now, but back in the day, what was a non-card? I know you love cards. Like a board game that Bill would enjoy that you agree with, or different.
I do differ with Charles in that I used to love Monopoly, but I recognize that it's a really long game, or can be, and a lot of people just don't have the patience for it. So it's hard. Not to mention, it's one of those games that people get personal about. For some reason.
People do get pissed off playing.
And if you're kind of an aggressive, like someone that tries to go for the throat and everything, like I am, it pisses people off. I like I probably on my own on this a little bit too, but I always love Trivial Pursuit. And it's funny when you're talking about Risk. Risk is okay, but I love Axis and Allies.
That's the
again. You're not going to play. Yeah, you're not going to play it with.
You're not going to play with anything other than us three.
You're not going to play with an 8-year-old wife and an 8-year-old. You got 3 of us together, and
completely agree. But the problem is, as soon as you factor in any other family members, they're out. They're like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm not playing this shit.
That's a guy's board game.
Yeah,
no girls.
I completely agree. They're fun times. But then the Axis and Allies is one of those. What's that, BB?
It was worth the setup time.
Yeah, but it does take a while. You got 30 minutes just to know where to put that shit on that board, boy. It takes a while.
It's an hour to set it up, and then get tired and not want to play it till the next day.
It's a legit commitment, man. You're talking about like 8-hour game, dude. It's rough.
That's you're hanging out with your buddies all weekend. Let's play Axis and Allies.
Yeah. Steve, you got any big games that you and your family would play at all right now? Like, what do you got?
Well, the greatest game of all time is what I was referring to as Axis and Allies. Bill beat me to the punch. But one that Holly loved when she was Lorna's age, Guess Who?
Yeah.
I played Guess Who so many times. She loved that game.
And again, that's just more that clue type game where you're just trying to use clues to, you know what I mean? Like, that's an OG classic right there.
The reigning one now is Clue. Michelle loves Clue. Holly likes it too. And then Uno. We play a lot of Uno. Uno is a big one.
Yeah.
But like I said, Yahtzee was Grandma McCrae's game. I used to play that when I was Lorna's age at Grandma's house.
Yeah.
What was it? Boggle. You guys remember that one?
Yeah, Boggle's tough because you got the vocab. You know what I mean? Like I can't really bring in the Boggle yet. Yeah.
And another one.
Scrabble at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say Michelle loves Scrabble.
Yeah.
She kicked my ass in it.
Well, Scrabble's a great game if you got some adults. If you got 3 or 4 adults, you can definitely bang on some Scrabble. As soon as you put a kiddo in there, though, it's like, meh, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But then back to BV's Trivial Pursuit. Trivial Pursuit's great the first 2-3 times you play it, and then you're like already repeating cards. You're like, okay.
Well, some of those decks can be pretty big, and then I like the Trivial Pursuits where you can get them based on something like there's a Star Wars Trivial Pursuit or a Harry Potter.
Yeah,
one.
But the problem is, okay, so I go over your house, Steve, and you break out the goddamn Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit. I'm like, where's regular Trivial Pursuit? Like, screw this Harry Potter shit. And if we broke out Star Wars, everyone else would be out the window.
You used to have Star Wars. I played Star Wars with you guys a couple times.
Oh, okay.
And BB knew like be playing Trivial Pursuit at all.
Yeah. So,
but hands down, Bill's the best Trivial Pursuit player.
Yeah. If you get OG Trivial Pursuit, it could be very fun, like a traditional Trivial Pursuit. Yeah, I agree.
Bill's really good at it. Bill, isn't that the one where you pulled out Rayford Johnson out of your ass?
Yeah, I pull out a lot of weird
1975.
things
I forget
I
what
also
it was.
pulled the Sonia Henny out of my ass once. Too.
Rayford Johnson. I was like, what?
That's the 1960 Olympic gold medal decathlon winner from UCLA.
I mean, who knows that? Bill knew that. It blew my mind when you said that. It was pretty
It's
good.
fun, man. But I tell you what, board games still hold up, and they're a great time killer. You know what I mean? If you're locked in and you got to entertain an 8-year-old, and you know what I mean, like still, you just got to keep the hardest part is now. You got to kind of navigate. You got to find a game that you like, and then try to find a game that can kind of be like it. You know what I mean? Like you got to kind of navigate the world because. Problem is with the games, man, they can cost like $30-$35 a pop. And if you screw up, like no one wants to play it, you know?
Yeah, then you're stuck with it. Yeah. Michelle got this like really complicated Harry Potter one where it was kind of trivia and something else. It was kind of like Clue mixed with Harry Potter, but it didn't play like Clue. Yeah. And it had a rule book that was like
that. And then like every time you go to play it, it's like a 20-minute read to remember the rules. Yeah.
So it's been collecting dust in the basement ever since.
Let me ask the question to you guys. I know BV's relatives are into it. You guys play any card game type thing? Not playing cards. I'm talking about like power up type card games, like deck building, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like you guys do any of that at all? Like there's a ton of games that are like that. Like Sheriff of Nottingham is a big one and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, man.
I'm not sure I even know what you're talking about. Deck building games?
Like so you have like Magic the Gathering kind of things, or not even that. Like you deal out, and then like you have to play situationally, play cards to counteract certain people's powers and stuff. It's tough.
There's a big Transformers one out right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like the art on them, but I'm not playing a game.
Yeah. And then, like you said, as a grown man, like we're all sitting around playing Magic the Gathering. I gotta admit though, if BV called me and was like, "Dude, we're playing Axis and Allies," I might roll through. I might roll. I'm like, okay, I got a thing. I gotta go.
Axis and Allies weekend, we're out.
You know, another game that's pretty good for families, and particularly if you don't mind just going at each other. It's probably not. Again, kids kind of. But they get sensitive about not so. You ever play Aggravation?
I don't even know. I think I know that one.
It's like I think it's a max of 6 players. It's a board. You get so many. I think you get like 4. You each pick a color. You get 4 marbles, and you work them and have to get them out of your base. And you try to work them around to get them all home, and whoever gets them home first wins. But if you roll and that would a number that would land you on where someone else is, you can knock them out and send them back and.
So it's kind of a modified Sorry, is what you're saying? Like you're kind of bouncing,
but it's longer though.
Okay.
And there's a lot more like is the kind of quick to it, and you can have multiple. I don't remember if you can do that with Sorry, but you have multiple pieces out playing at the same time, so you can choose to move one over the other, and you basically get to just try to screw each other over the whole time while you try to win.
That sounds all right.
So do you own most of these games already?
We own all those games that are on that list. I have all those games that are on that list. Yeah, Steve, her whole cabinet is just full of games.
That's a lot of games.
Dude, I got Amazon just streaming to the house with more games. It is unreal. I got to tell you. I'm stopping by Target and stuff like that and just picking up games. It's been a savior during this lockdown is board games. And I brought it up because, like I said, we're just looking for other segments and stuff like that. Rapid Fire slowly dying and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, it's been huge in my house. Lauren will hit me up. You want to play this? You want to play that? And you and I both know, as you had it with Holly when she was younger. Well, me and you were really bad about feeding into, like, as soon as Lorna was like, I want to play this board game. Okay, I got 78 other board games coming to the house. You know what I mean? Like, you immediately jump on it until she hates it. And then you're like, oh!
Yeah, and then you got 32 board games laying around the house. You know who's really good at it is her Grandpa Henson. Like, she played a lot of board games with him. Yeah, they would play at his house. So
yeah, I also think it's a good thing for the mind. I'll be honest with you, too. Like, let's not... you take like a young kid, like Holly was a smart kid and my daughter's trying to be smart and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's good to like work on that logic, puzzle solving. And I kick my daughter's ass. I don't give a shit. I'll spike the ball. I'll let you know right now. I'm not letting Lorna win. Sucker.
The Uno tournament, I finished last. So I don't know.
Yeah, dude, there's some humbling shit too. Yeah, you get like bummed out. You're like, okay, Dad eats at this one.
But, Bill, there's one game we forgot. Parcheesi. Parcheesi is not on the list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Metaphors for something else.
Not to be confused with solitary Parcheesi.
Yeah, nobody wants it. All right, so wrestling's back a little bit just because a big rumor hit the internet this week. And now that I found the source of it, probably not take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, but there's rumor that Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, because of the pressures of everything, because of WrestleMania and all this stuff, he's looking to want to sell the company off to ESPN and Fox. ESPN would get Raw and all that other stuff. Fox would keep what they already have, and that he would.
Well, I'll be honest with you though. Like, I don't want to interrupt you as you're talking about it, but I got a question. Those two companies aren't in bed with each other, so would they fracture the company? Is what you're saying?
It seems like it, but that seems weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. So ESPN is Disney, Fox is Comcast, right? Who owns Fox?
Fox is his own thing.
Oh, it's its own thing. Yeah. So why would it not go to like the parent? I don't get it. Why wouldn't it go to ABC and ESPN? I guess is my question.
Well, it probably would. Disney/ESPN/ABC. I don't know if they would. I think they would do is they would sell the shows. So.
Oh, geez. It would be like company within a company thing. Like this goes that way, that goes this way.
The Raw show would go to ESPN. The SmackDown show would go to Fox, and then the wrestlers would just go back and forth between two, I guess, have contracts with both companies. I don't know how that would work. Or they would do two separate ones.
You're a shareholder. What's the buy price on that?
It was up to $36 last
time
I checked.
What would Fox and ESPN have to pay for those? Did it say in the article? You got a ballparks at all? It's got to be a mint.
There was no article. Like I said, this was just a rumor. And
who's your source that you're calling not credible, by the way?
Zeb Coulter. Bill knows who that is.
Yeah, also known during his wrestling days as Dutch Mantel.
He got me on that one.
He was like a low to mid card guy in the '80s. His stint as Zeb Coulter. I'm sure you weren't watching it at the time. This is with Jack Swagger, who Jake Hager, doing that "We the People" shtick. This doesn't make any sense. Like, there are so many impossibilities in the logistics of this that it's asinine. Okay, first of all, like you said, ESPN, Fox, not in bed with each other at all.
Yeah.
It's a corporation. So it's not like you just, we'll sell the show, the one show to ESPN and the other show to Fox, and then what? They're going to split their talent. They're going to split corporations, make two companies, and split the roster. It doesn't make. Not to mention the fact they're still under contract for 2 of their 4 shows with NBC Universal, which owns USA. Also, not in bed with either one of these 2 companies. So so they would basically have to sell their corporation to one of these companies. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That would then have to deal with the existing contract, and have their stuff on other networks. It would probably have to include buying out the other networks for the show rights so they can put it all in one thing. And if I remember correctly, McMahon failed at even getting ESPN on the hook to buy the streaming rights for WrestleMania and everything else. Remember when he was a month or so ago, or a couple months ago, when he was apparently trying to get out of the WWE network and wanted to go more to a traditional pay-per-view model again. He was trying to negotiate with ESPN for exclusive stuff, kind of like on ESPN Plus, and they bailed on that. So what makes anyone think they're going to buy this corporation? or that McMahon would ever be able to set his ego aside enough to sell it to somebody and give up control. Because if he sells to any one of those conglomerates, there is no way he maintains control of anything going forward.
Right.
Let me ask a question here real quick, though, guys. Going around the digital room, do you think it would be good if McMahon sold a company, Steve? What do you think?
I think he's losing touch a little bit. So it depends on the company, I would guess. I think, I don't know. I want to say
Pick
Fox.
away, Steve. Pick away.
I want to say Fox more than Disney, just because Disney has everything, but Fox doesn't have any kind of streaming thing, and I don't know if they would keep the WWE network. So, I mean, Disney, it would fit in perfectly with their ESPN Plus, right? It would give them more content, it would give them everything else. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. I guess Disney would probably end up with them because they would have the money for it, where I don't know Fox would. But Fox got a lot of money now because they sold half their stuff off to Disney, so maybe they'd be interested. They seem to be happy with the results SmackDown's been giving them, which isn't only like 2 million people a week watching it. But now the question is, would the stock go up if one of these major companies bought it? What do you guys think?
I don't know how that works. I don't know.
Well, there would be a buyout. So they would some sort of like a corporate merger where WWE would be the target of the M&A or of the merger and acquisition, and WWE as a going concern probably would not be. It wouldn't continue to be a publicly traded company by itself. It would get absorbed into either Disney or Fox. So you'd get like your one-time buyout. It probably would be a premium on the current share price, but not a massive one. So you'd get basically like a little payoff, and then it would become, a wholly owned subsidiary of the other company. It wouldn't be public anymore. I don't think McMahon ever should have took this company public in the first place. Yeah, he probably doesn't have the money to do it now. I wouldn't think so much that his best move would be to sell it. I think if he still has the wherewithal financially to do it, his best move would be first to take the company back to being a privately held corporation, and then set a plan in place to step down and let Triple H and Stephanie them sort of take it over, and then get some good corporate people to handle the operations piece. Let Triple H and them handle the wrestling, the marketing, put a good corporate structure behind it to manage the finances and the budget, and have them kind of work together instead of having McMahon be the final arbiter of every decision made for the company. He'll probably never do it, but I think it'd probably be the best move for him. I don't think his ego will allow him to give up control of it until he's either dead or so incapacitated that he just can't do it anymore.
Well, what is his age at this point?
He's 74. But because I still get these, emails and crap for, the wrestling news. There had been some kind of thing that's supposed to have been some kind of a preview of something that might happen during that Money in the Bank thing that they're doing. Apparently McMahon demonstrated taking a fall off of the roof or something off one of the towers at WWE headquarters, to demonstrate how someone else would do it, and just got up and he fell off a tower into a mat or an air bag or whatever, and then got up. And if he's still willing to do that in his 70s, would think he's going to back off of anything. He's pissed off because things aren't going his way, and I think people.
He jumped off the roof of something. Is that what you're saying?
74.
Well, from what I read is that I guess the approach.
That's how you take a bump, son.
That they're literally going to fight their way up the various floors of headquarters in Stamford up to a ring on the roof, and then that's how it's going to be decided. And apparently, what they thought that was a tip off is that someone's going to get knocked off the roof.
Jesus.
But
is that going to be another movie thing like Undertaker AJ Styles?
Actually, it was sort of speculated that it might be that too. It may be more of a movie kind of thing than an actual match, and that the men and women are supposed to go at it at the same time or something. I don't know.
I think you guys would agree that he needs to step aside, right? I think that the general consensus is like, it's okay to say that your time has come and gone in that industry. You know what I mean? Like, let it grow and continue on without you, right? I think you both would agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is starting to become like an Al Davis thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
That's a great analogy, and the Al Davis thing is a great analogy.
And for the record, the stock is at $43, which is the highest it's been in about 2 months. It was down up under 30 for a while, so 43 right now. So, all right, so there you go. Zeb Coulter, he's probably taking his sleeping medicine and stayed awake and posted a bunch of rant. He used to have a backstage role before last year or so, but he got fired. So anyway, which one of you guys watched The Dark Side of the Ring?
I did.
Episode?
You guys got me hooked,
I
BV,
did.
and that. Did you watch it, BV? Did you check it out too?
Yeah.
Did you know? So this was Dr. D's slap heard around the wrestling world or whatever.
This is where he slapped that reporter, right?
John Stossel, rather, from 2020. He's pimp slapped the shit out of him. Multiple times, no less, too. And then it was implied during this thing, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, BB, that basically McMahon went and picked him because he's a crazy hillbilly, and he knew he would get real the minute John Stossel put a mic in his face. And the problem was basically that the guys, the Dr. D, which again, do you guys know of Dr. D? I don't even want to look at
Dr.
BB,
Steve Williams, right?
I know
Dr.
B.
David Schultz.
Yeah,
Oh,
David
I
Schultz.
don't know him.
Yeah, this is actually right about the time I first started watching wrestling. I remember this taking place. Not well, but I remember seeing it on television.
Because this is right before Hogan kind of hit, too, and everything, right? Yeah.
He feuded a little bit with Hogan very early on. This was like this is like 83, so it's like that little bit of a. It was maybe a year where Hogan was kind of back and forth between AWA and WWF, and before they made the full blown run with him, beating the Sheik and all that, and I think the thing is that it was implied that McMahon sent him out there because he didn't want people asking questions. He knew this guy would protect the business.
Yeah.
I'm watching the video right now. He pimp slapped the shit out of
He
him.
did. He slapped him bad, dude. And then he got back up. He pimped him again. He got back up. He ended up. And again, I can't say enough for the show is great. The problem, I had issues with the Chris Benoit stuff because I felt like I had too many holes. Since then, though, having watched these episodes, this is a great show. Dark Side of the Ring. Dave, BV, everyone who's told me about it, they're spot on. I mean, this is fantastic stuff. And they basically went through everything and then into his life afterwards. And then they talked about what John Stossel got like a settlement. Did you see all that stuff with B? He got almost $300K for getting pimp slapped 2 times. So it was good stuff, man. I didn't know much about all this going into it. I figured BV kind of had the background.
Well, and it's funny because when Stossel basically all but came out and said that, he juiced it to get paid.
Yeah.
He said, well, eventually he did start to get better. He's, especially after I got paid.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird too. Like,
feel better.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho is a surprisingly good
narrator. Yeah. It's a good show, and like I said, every week I'm fascinated by it. I gotta see the crazy one.
The New Jack one?
No, I got it. It's set to record, and I can't wait. I gotta check it out because you guys got me hooked. I was completely wrong for missing this show. I should have been watching it since day one. It is fascinating. It's another home run from Vice, and every week is just another compelling wrestling story on top of another. I just wish that I could have sat in the room on the Benoit editing thing and be like, okay, so how do your viewers know that? You know what I mean? Like, dude, you're missing points, and that's... But yeah, great episode. Dr. D's slap episode, as I put it on here, is like the slap heard around the industry or something like that, or that, so it's super good.
The one coming up this week, this Herb Abrams thing, I know like nothing about it.
Oh, okay.
It should be. I'm kind of interested to see it because I don't have any background at all.
Cool.
Oh, Dark Side of the Ring, check it out. And the wrestling rumors are just rumors by Zeb Coulter. Must be taking his medication before he tweets. So there we go. A little bit of wrestling this week, not a ton. All right, now we're gonna go into some reviews, and Charles has got a grill, and I got this week. There was 2 new games came out. One Lorna approved, and one Steve approved. Now, people are familiar with the Game Pass on Xbox. There is a Game Pass that transfers over to the PC as well. It's you can get the Ultimate Game Pass, which is $15 a month. You get Xbox Live, you get the Xbox Game Pass and the PC Game Pass, or you can just get the PC Game Pass for $5 or $6 a month.
So which one do you get? Do you get both? The Ultimate?
I just got the Ultimate for now. It's $15. I signed up for a month because this week Gears Tactics came out. Now, if you're a Gears of War fan, that's what this is based on. And here's a weird thing: it didn't come out for Xbox. It only came out for PC.
Oh, really?
It's coming out for Xbox later in the year. So they're probably fine tuning the controls. I used the mouse to play it. Now, if you do get the Game Pass on PC, there's this little thing here. This is a controller adapter. This is the new one for Xbox. You plug it in your PC, and there's a little button on the end of it you press.
That's your sync or whatever, yeah.
And that syncs it right to the controller.
But I thought that but isn't that controller just a Bluetooth controller, Steve? You don't have Bluetooth in your computer?
I have a Bluetooth adapter, but it's like a cheap one I got from Best Buy, and it's just kind of shoddy. So it works much better. I use this. It works
I was going to say, do you need to, but I'm asking the question, if you have Bluetooth in a reliable Bluetooth, do you need that adapter you just showed?
Probably not. The newer Xbox One controllers. Now, the original ones, when the Xbox One launched, didn't have Bluetooth.
Okay.
So, but the ones with the Xbox One S and all the newer ones have Bluetooth, so you don't need it.
How much is that adapter? What'd you pay for that adapter? What'd you get?
I got this for $20. Okay. It was $20. So
readily available? Did you Amazon it or something? What'd you do?
Best Buy online.
Off the shelf?
No, I bought it online.
Because I remember back in the day, the 360 adapter for using a 360 controller on a PC was hard to get a hold of. So that's why I'm asking.
It was long and it had that weird circle thing on the end. But this is so much better. You just plug it right in. No, these are everywhere. These aren't hard to find.
Okay.
The side note, though, I did go to Walmart to pick up my steaks, and I walked over to the video game section. All the consoles are wiped out. Did you know that? Xbox, Switch, PS4. If people got bored on quarantine, got their Trump money and bought them some consoles. Yeah. So there's if you want a console.
They also say that the supply chain's breaking down. That's the other big thing, too. So there's no replenishments. Yeah. That's the other big thing, too, yeah.
I better hold on to my account. I see how much they're going for on eBay. So I play Gears Tactics. Now, this is a turn-based strategy game. And if people like XCOM, you basically get a group of 4 guys. You can move so many moves. You can tell them to attack and stuff like that. It's not for everybody. I'm an old school strategy guy. I like it. I like those kind of games. So it's a big thumbs up for me. I give it like an 8 out of 10. Enjoy the game a lot. I did live stream it on YouTube. I also streamed it on Twitch and a Mixer channel. It's all out there if you guys want to see a couple minutes of it. I can't imagine watching too much of it, but
I watched your video because I wanted to see it. It looks gorgeous. Again, great job with the way that it looks. The only thing that comes, and like you said, it's just not for me because it's turn-based. Like, I was watching your gameplay, and it was like basically you're leapfrogging guys forward turn by turn, giving them a cone of defense. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, I saw what you were doing, like moving forward. You were going stop and pop cover here, here, here. It's not for me based on the turn base. I think it would be so much more. What I would assume, and maybe next gen wise, how cool would it be if you could go down and actually control the skirmish? You know what I'm talking about? Like where you would actually be able to control the guy like arcade firing style to see if you could shoot the guy or something like that. Like go down to field view or something. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. But yeah, it looked gorgeous and just not my cup of tea, but it looked really nice.
Now, I don't know if you can tell from the stream, though. I have my PC is a 2014, and it sounded like a jet engine when I was playing this thing.
It looked pretty smooth, though, when it was going out. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, and I checked my temperatures. They were good, so it just apparently just wanted to stay cool. But good game. The only knocks I give it, some of the voice syncing with the cutscenes was off. Oh. Not on all of them, just on a handful of them, so that was kind of weird. And then also some of the side missions get repetitive. Like you'll do the same board 3 or 4 times, and then it's like, oh god, they're bringing.
They also are still doing that strategy game. Like we're repeating the same click on them. It's just, every time you were clicking on the one dude, it was doing the same reply, and I was like, oh god, strategy games, dude.
Same voice command over and over and over.
It's like, okay, dude, okay.
Look out for them grubs.
Yeah, grubs. I was like, oh Jesus.
So that was a good game, and the best part is, like again, you don't have to pay $60 for it. You can just get the Game Pass, play it for cheap for a month. It shouldn't take you more than a month to beat it, and you can have a good time. Now, the other one that my niece will love, Streets of Rage 4 came out.
And I watched this, and it looked just like an old school Streets of Rage game. You were doing the most repetitive shit over.
Oh my god! Now, to its credit, it's not very long. So it's only like 10 stages. Each stage is maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to crack through. But boy, it's the same punch button over
Dude,
and
I
over.
was watching that video going, dude, he's doing the same thing over and over and over.
I mean, you got a punch, a jump, you pick things up, and then there's a special move. And that's it. That's all there is.
Yeah, it looked like Streets of Rage.
And Michelle played it with me for a little bit too. And if you like old school nostalgia, now I will say it looks beautiful though. I thought it looked like a cartoon.
Yeah, it looked good. Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing going on in it. It's the same 5 character sprites, and you know what I mean. If it didn't look amazing, you'd be like, "What the hell were you doing?"
Yeah, you remind back in the day, Bill. You remember like the Ninja Turtles game and the X-Men game where we all walk through punching people when we played at that arcade.
Fun,
exactly. That's what this game is. So at an arcade where you're goofing off and you want to hang out with some buddies, it's probably fine for 20, 30 minutes. But to sit through the 4 hours or whatever it takes to beat it, it's like mind-numbingly repetitive. And they start recycling the bosses again.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I was watching that going, dude, this is, oh my God.
But on Game Pass, again, it's $30 if you don't have Game Pass. But as a game on your Game Pass, it's fine to play for an afternoon, get your nostalgia in, and then be done.
Yeah, don't pay $30 for it. There's no way on planet Earth you should pay $30 for that.
Yeah, I mean, and then this game is also on Xbox and stuff. So if Lauren is dying to play it, you can have a Game Pass on Xbox. But I give it a 5. I wouldn't play it again. I would crack through it. I mean, you can't even upgrade, like some fighting games. You can upgrade your combos just so you can see a different punch. None of that. None of that's in this. They kept it old school, and because of that, it's just kind of boring. I'll be honest. So a big 5 on that one, but an 8 on Gears Tactics. Both of them on Game Pass. You don't have to pay full price. And so there you go. That's pretty much what I did this week. I didn't watch 20 hours of TV. I was playing video games a lot most of the week.
That Gears game looked really good. I'd definitely give the thumbs up for the week to that Gears game. Would be the one you'd want to play.
And you saw the graphics. That was the graphics on my computer. It holds up pretty good.
Yeah.
The only game on my PC that doesn't hold up is Madden. Madden has like a screen tear in it. I don't know why.
It's probably a weird driver, blah, 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 conflict.
Yeah.
Old school
Every other
PC
game I play on my
yeah.
PC works fine. It's just that Madden game drives me nuts. So anyways, so there you go. Game Pass, PC, check it out. And Lorna can come over and play Streets of Rage anytime she wants. And now, next, you are grilling again?
Yeah, so as Steve knows, I've got way too much grilling tech. I've got a Blackstone griddle. I've got a Camp Chef pellet grill, or pellet smoker, rather. I even went as far as to get an outdoor range top that comes out on wheels. And then I had a Weber, basically a standard Weber kettle last season. And my Weber kettle got really long in the tooth. The handle started to break off. And I'm a real stickler I take care of my grilling equipment. I buy covers for them all. I store most of them in my garage. The only thing that I don't store in my garage is my Weber, but it stays next to my porch and it's covered. But the thing is, Steve, you don't move your grill. Your grill's pretty much stationary right on the side of your house. BB, are you moving your grill, or is it pretty much in one spot where you leave it, and that's kind of where it is?
I move it in certain places on my deck, and then usually I bring it in for the winter into the garage.
So, like for me, I move my items out onto the garage or out onto the driveway, and then I stow them away. So one of the biggest pains in the ass with like a Weber kettle is moving a Weber kettle is a pain in the ass. Like it's one of the most. It's only got 2 wheels in the back, and it's an awkward device and super annoying. A Weber kettle is one of those things. It's better if you can just find a spot in your yard and kind of keep it there. So I knew that once I was going to replace my standard Weber kettle, I was going to get the Performer grill. The Performer line is a big time upgrade from the standard Weber kettle with the 3-spoke leg. This has got a whole cart that it goes into, and then
I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, it's got 4 wheels. So as you kind of move it, it's 10 times easier to move. The other thing that's a game changer on this one for me is a side shelf. Most Weber kettles don't have anywhere to put your items. So in order for you to think ahead to do the grilling, you need to have somewhere to set your chicken breasts while you're kind of poking around with your fire and everything. This Performer grill has the side built on it. Now, I bought the standard Performer, not the Performer Deluxe. The Deluxe is a bigger cart. The Performer breaks down. I don't know, again, if you're looking at those, Steve, if you're looking at the two.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing all the price variants. It goes from 400 down to 220.
Yeah, the 221 is the version that I got. The 221 allows the shelf to kind of break down on the side. The Performer Deluxe stays the whole thing with the table. So I wanted the ability to kind of make it small so it can slide next to my steps. I got to tell you, gentlemen, this is fantastic. And I might be a little bit weird I have a lot of boxes to check because, like, again, mine wanted to be portable, but then also kind of smaller. And then this is it's a fantastic grill. The one thing I'll tell you that's a pain in the ass is putting this beast together. It took me some time. Took a long time, like, slowing down. The other thing I don't like, and I can tell you this, guys, too, I had a standard Weber kettle grill, and it had a 22-inch grate. The new grate, and again, if Steve's looking at them, the new grate that comes with them has this weird insert in the center. It's like a circular insert that you can put a cast iron thing and a wok and all. Here's the problem, though, guys. It doesn't stay stuck on there. So when you first fire up a charcoal grill, you take your grate out, you know what I mean, to kind of tend to the coals. The grate's falling all over the goddamn place because this center insert thing doesn't stay stuck in there. Does that make sense? So it just kind of sits on there with gravity. I don't like that design. When I get my next grill grate, which I get a couple seasons out of them, and then I go and buy a new grill grate, I'll buy just a standard 22-inch without the stupid insert in the middle of it. But so far, $280 through Home Depot. I got it shipped to the house. Came in great shape from Home Depot. I'm a huge fan of Weber grills. I know that Steve and a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy, but you can't substitute that charcoal, baby. You get that chimney out, fire up the old Kingsford coals and stuff like that. It's just a delicious taste that I don't think any gas grill can replicate, is my 2 cents. But yeah, big fan of the Weber Performer grill. Big fan of that one. And then I put this on here again, just kind of working on my kitchen tech. I bought it. We never had. Do you guys have Instant Pots at your house, BV? You got an Instant Pot?
We have 2 of them.
Jesus, BV's way deep. Well, he's married to a white lady. All white ladies in the suburbs are like issued these Instant Pots. It's so weird. Heather put it out on Facebook like, hey, we finally got an Instant Pot. And like all these white ladies just came out of the woodwork.
It's basically,
yeah, it's basically.
Michelle must not be white.
No, well, give her some time. I guarantee you all of her friends want it. Yeah, she's not. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, Abby had to have one that first holiday that it came out.
Yeah.
We've had one for a couple of years now, and she got a second.
How
one
often
later.
are you guys using them, BB? You a big fan?
She uses it a lot for kind of her dishes.
Okay.
One thing, and I don't remember the exact. I have to find the way to do it, but you can make. I don't know if you're into like Chinese. You can make some phenomenal like white sticky rice.
Oh, okay. That's why. We eliminated 3 pieces of kitchen tech with this one piece. That's what we're. So I got rid of my rice cooker. So you like a nice sticky rice out of there, is what you're saying?
I love sticky rice, yeah, and you can do it pretty well. I don't know if it's going to be quite as good as a dedicated rice cooker, but
yeah, I'm sure it'll work good enough for my Asian dishes. But yeah, so I bought. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you can also like. If you're cooking something, let's say you have like a roast or something, and you want to saute some things above it, you can do it without using a separate pot.
Yeah, in the bottom of it, right? Yeah, just kind of high heat that boy. Yeah. Yeah, so my point was, I just was bringing it up. We've got a couple Instant Pot. Well, we bought a traditional Instant Pot, but it's also got a sous vide feature. BB, you sous vide a steak before? You ever sous vide? That's what what I'm talking about. That's when you water bath cook it and then you sear it off at the end and stuff like that. I'll be doing that here shortly.
Okay. Let us know how that works out.
Dude, I can't wait. And then the other one I bought, we replaced our air fryer. Instant Pot makes this thing called the Vortex Plus. Steve, do you remember my love of toaster ovens? I just love a toaster oven. I can't get it.
I still have an old school
toaster ovens are one of the best things ever for little pizzas and just. So this thing is ticking a lot of boxes. So I just wanted to bring it up because in a couple weeks I'm gonna talk about it as I start to use these items and stuff like that. So Instant Pot stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about them. So it's got an air fryer and a toaster oven inside the Instant Pot?
No. There's 2 separate devices. So I bought an Instant Pot, and then an Instant Pot makes this Vortex Plus air fryer / toaster oven / you know what I mean, like thing. So I had 2 devices that I bought. Yeah.
How much? 129.
Yeah, about $129 a piece. I was replacing we had an old Philips air fryer. This thing's been a workhorse in our family. It is just one of the best things. This Vortex Plus, what it has in it though, Steve, is, so you guys both have air fryers. I'm assuming BV you have an air fryer. I know Steve does.
I do, but I've never actually opened it because this is kind of like no. Hold on though. There's a reason for that. Because the tech, when you talk about how you can get so many different things, I also, I don't know, it was maybe 6-8 months ago, went out and bought one of those 1800 Bravo New Wave ovens that does like 60 different functions. So you can air fry in that.
Oh, okay.
So I've gotten an air fryer for a gift for Christmas, and I've never even opened it.
White people problems over here. The problem with an air fryer though is you kind of every few minutes you got to shake the item. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Vortex Plus, if you're looking at it, Steve, has a rotary basket that you put your items in, and it rotates like a spit the whole time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it could be a game changer. So I'll keep you guys posted. The Vortex Plus from Instant Pot, and then I'm gonna sous vide my new Neo Duo Instant Pot. I'm gonna make me a big old steak and try to see how that goes, and I'll sear it off in the charcoal and stuff like that. I can't wait. So, anyway, that's incoming with my kitchen tech going forward.
Cooking adventures.
Since you're into things, always been real big into things like stew and roast and stuff, right? You can use, like, I don't know if it's the pressure function or whatever. You can essentially put the stuff in there like you're putting it into a slow cooker. Cook it for about an hour, and it'll be as if it had been in the slow cooker for 8 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy. That pressure, man, people don't realize that's how your air conditioner works, is a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like when you start changing pressures on things, stuff changes. Crazy.
All right, so we'll have to look at some reviews on the Instapot coming up. I have to wait for Michelle to get a coupon at Kohl's, and we'll get one.
Yeah, dude. I'm surprised, man.
That's how we get most of our kitchen stuff. She'll get a coupon at Kohl's. I just got we have a small 5-quart pot for like corn and stuff. We got an 8-quart one with the strainer in it now, so I can steam vegetables and pull the strainer out and
super
stuff.
Handy,
yeah. So just got that at Kohl's for $25.
Awesome.
So all right, now this next one we're going to go into the pugilism report. Funny thing is, my daughter had no idea, we were looking at the notes earlier, what pugilism stood for. Another A student moment.
Wow.
But tell us what's happening in the world.
Yeah, so I put it as pugilism / strongman report this week because I had to put it somewhere. So Hafthor Bjornsson, who most people recognize to be the Mountain from Game of Thrones, he talked to, I don't know, again, I got a weird affinity towards strongman. So you guys just got, BV can rattle off randomness with wrestlers. I can rattle off randomness with strongman. So him and Eddie Hall had been going back and forth. He's a strongman out of England. So basically the Mountain said he's going to break this world record. And the coolest part, and BV touched on a little bit earlier, he did it on ESPN he deadlifted 501 kgs or 1,104 pounds. He deadlifted, and I'm sure BV saw the video, made it look easy. He had more in the tank. I'm sure you would co-sign that, BV.
Yeah. How do you not bust your balls?
Dude, it's unbelievable.
You see some people do this stuff and they do the
nosebleeds and stuff like that. Yeah.
There was one point about midway up where there was a slight pause, but it never looked like it was. You never questioned whether he was going to get it up. It looked
not at all. He held it too, and he got the call. He held it. You know what I mean? Like
I'm watching it right now. He has no shoes on.
Dude, he's crazy.
I was flipping around yesterday morning and saw that the Ocho was on, so I just Ocho. So I flipped it on, and it was about midway through the show, and so he was doing the part that amazed me too is like. He didn't just get himself worked up and go to break the record. That was his third lift.
Yeah.
Within a half-hour period. And he'd worked his way up. I think the one that I saw.
Well, that's because you got to prime the jets, man. You just don't go and crank it.
Lifted, he had previously deadlifted about 1,000 pounds for the second lift. And they're showing him, because he's that technique where he rolls the bar in and then goes up, scrapes the living shit out of his shins. So he goes back right afterwards, and they're all trying to he sits down, and his people are all trying to work on the wounds because he's bleeding, his shins are bleeding all over the place, and those freaking compression freaking suits that they put
Yeah,
on.
dude. Yeah. Watch if you want to know about those compression suits. Watch West Side versus the World, man. Gear, as they call it, the gear. You know what I mean? Like it's just. I am just so fascinated with this stuff. And that crazy Scandinavian / Iceland dude is just. It is unbelievable. He also suffers from Bell's palsy. You know what I mean? Like he's got the JR issues too. It is. Good on you, man. And it's good to see a good piece of sports, man. It was really cool to see. And I just shout out to the Mountain. He is more than just a bullshit actor. Like he is a legit strong man, dude. And like awesome stuff.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, I just looked up his net worth. He's only worth $2 million.
He's in Iceland, man. They don't give a shit about that stuff, dude. He wants to move shit. Like keep your money.
Right after he finished and they interviewed him, he was talking about he just signed a contract with some like core sports company for, like he said, it was a 7-figure contract, and he knew that Eddie Hall was going to do the same thing.
Yep.
And so he basically cut a wrestling promo about how he's going to kick Eddie Hall's ass.
That's the thing. They've been going toe to toe with it. And all. They're trying to get that together and stuff like that. Eddie Hall's transitioned though. He started doing like some CrossFit stuff. Again, I don't want to go down a whole strongman rabbit hole.
Well, wasn't there some controversy that because when Hall beat him in like 2017 that Hathor complained that he was cheating or something. There's some kind of controversy.
There's
to
a
it.
lot of that with all the strongman stuff, like where and when you do it in competitions and who's saying. Like, there's a lot of that stuff with the strongman stuff. Doing it when it matters is a big thing too. And
what is with Iceland?
It's so fun, man. It's
all like
I
the
can't
big,
explain it.
Like Iceland is like this small place with this
300,000 people live there. 300. It's because it's the old Scandinavians, man.
And basically every freaking
they
classic,
killed any of the weak
strongman legend
you,
is basically from Iceland.
Yeah,
what's it? What Magnus Magnuson?
Dude, I'm telling you. They killed anyone who did watch Vikings on history if you don't believe what I'm saying. So anyway, shout out to the Mountain. It's good to see some sports back. That was amazing. Anyone who's into strongman stuff, you had to know about it and you had to watch it. He was talking about doing this record attempt a while ago. I had to check it out and I was a big fan. And then the other thing too, UFC 249 still happening. If you guys want to tune in, I'll kick the feed over to you guys. I'm definitely getting UFC 249. If you guys want to have a little watch party or something digitally, we could do that. I am way down with this. And so that's happening next weekend. Can't wait. His card looks good. Everything's shaping up. He's already got all of his protocols, but the problem is as long as Florida can stay open, we'll see how long that continues. Florida looks like it's a bit of a hot mess. So anyway, I'm excited. So anyway, on to news, Steve.
All right. Now this kind of fits in with Bjornsson. The next Assassin's Creed was the trailer was released. They got my $60. It's Assassin's Creed Vikings, and I'm all over this. It looks beautiful. I know Charles not a huge
Valhalla, and my only concern is, as Steve is all in, and I'm all for it, is it repetitive Assassin's Creed? Steve tells me they've gotten away from it, so I'll take his word for it, and he says that Assassin's Creed's come a long way, but I'll wait and see. But it looked amazing.
It looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, there are some repetitive side missions, but the main story-driven missions are all different stuff now. You don't have to sit in a crowd and listen to people talk over and over again. They got rid of a lot of the stealth stuff, actually. Especially the last one was, you were basically like 300, basically. You were in Greek and you were a Spartan and all that stuff, so there was no sneaking around. It was stabbing and fight. Pretty much they've just now become historical games. Like, here's this time period. We'll put a little bit of that Assassin's Creed stuff on there. The good guys are assassins. The bad guys are Templars. Go at it.
We don't have the animus stuff and all that.
Very, very little. Like there might be a scene in the beginning and a scene at the end is all you get now, which is great because they must have listened to everybody and like just do the historical stuff. Yeah. But this game looks great. It looks fantastic. I'm all in. Charles will wait and hear everything.
Yeah, mine's definitely a wait and see, is what I would argue for me.
They say it's a next gen as also current gen. So you saw the trailer, Charles. Did it look beautiful?
It looked amazing. I got to tell you, just the animation and like the textures that they're getting on the characters now are just unbelievable. I don't know, man. I will definitely co-sign what Steve's saying. Like, you get that on a 4K 55-inch TV, man, that's gonna look amazing. Way into that.
And I know it's not sports, so Bill's not into that one. But then we'll go to Game Pass. Now, I was talking about this earlier. We were wondering how much they're going to make, if it's going to make a lot of money. So Game Pass has sold 10 million subscribers now. They've reached the 10 million mark. So they're making a good chunk of change. What is that? $8 to $10 a person at $10 million or 10 million subscribers a month. So Microsoft is doing okay for themselves, I would say.
I think it's worth it. It's a good value. It's very similar to that Disney Plus value stuff that we often talk about. Like, I think Game Pass is a very good value for that.
Yeah, so Game Pass is helping Microsoft get more rich. I guess they just had a quarterly report that said they aren't hurting for money even with the coronavirus because a lot of their stuff is services. Apple also reported. Now, Apple's services are making money, but their hardware has really struggled.
China being under lockdown, I'm sure they couldn't get nothing made.
Yeah. So Apple's hardware is hurting a little bit, but their services are making money. So they're still making a profit. Don't feel sorry for Apple or Microsoft ever, or Google or Facebook.
Did they get a small business loan from the government? Did anyone ask? Did they get...
yes. That small company of Apple and Microsoft got about 10 million.
Figured I'd ask. Yeah.
So and then another news note we have, because Charles's daughter loved it so much, Trolls World Tour made over $100 million doing the video on demand.
And here, let me pause you. Here's why that's significant. Because they went on demand only, I read an article that says that they actually made more money as well because they take home 80% on streaming. In a theater capacity, you only take home 50%. So, I'm telling you, Steve, the end is near for your freaking your movie.
I know, I gotta live it. So because of it, AMC movie theaters got in a pissing match with Universal, and they told Universal to go screw themselves. They're not allowed in their theaters anymore.
Yeah,
so I find that hard to believe. Because the Fast and the Furious franchise is Universal, and you're gonna tell me AMC's gonna be like, no, we don't want Vin Diesel and his $1 billion.
Yeah, I also put on here too that Regal Cinemas joined that AMC beef with Universal,
yeah.
So they're signing So basically, it's gonna be the old traditional guard of Steve and his movie theaters versus Charles and the streamers. Dude, I'm telling you. So they just proved that you can make a shit ton of money, man. They just proved it. Yeah.
Well. Now let's consider some factors. Now this is Corona time. A lot of families are home. Without a lockdown, say like in the fall, they release James Bond on video on demand. Does it make as much as it would in a theater? One, it doesn't appeal to kids. Two, we're not on lockdown anymore. What do you think?
I don't think it does. I'll be honest with you. But you talked about like an older school movie. But if you get... I think that the next litmus test comes in 2 weeks. The Scooby-Doo movie comes out in 2 weeks on demand only. So we'll see. I think that you could point to these movie theaters, a 30% jump in take-home revenue is significant, Steve. You know what I mean? Like, that is a big deal. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
if they stream though, right? Don't they get more direct? I mean, their profit margin's higher because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they take home 80% of the dollar. You know what I mean? Whereas in a theater scenario, they only take home 50%. Yeah, it's a 30% bump to just go on demand. But now you could make the argument, and that's what Steve's saying. You get into different demographics. That older generation who's going to enjoy a James Bond movie relative to a Trolls movie might not be so apt to sit at home and would, take their special lady friend out for Red Lobster and some James Bond. So
yeah, you need those cheese biscuits.
Yeah, Cheddar Bays, Cheddar Bays. So I don't know.
Well, also right now we're all at home, right? So in the fall, allegedly, we're not all going to be locked down. So I'd wonder.
Okay. But then here's the problem, though, too, Steve. So here's someone who goes to the movie theater, and you look at me and tell me you do, and I'm crazy because I stay home. Are you going to go sit at a packed movie theater on a Friday? Because Donald Trump says we got to open back up. Are you going to go and sit at a packed movie theater?
I think there'll be safety precautions, like they'll sell every other seat, or there'll be something. So now
what you just described is a loss of revenue for that movie because the capacities in those theaters have just got cut by 25 to 30%. So not only can they not put as many butts in the seats, you're also not going to give me more revenue cut. So if I'm a movie studio, I question the logic behind it.
Well, it won't last forever. We'll just do the safety precaution in a year or two. Then next thing you know, everything will be gone. We'll all have the disease. And we'll be sitting
We'll be in the apocalypse going, remember movies? Yeah.
You're only going to get that plexiglass for about a year.
Yeah,
Then after that,
man. We're going to be sitting in bubbles watching movies.
I got to go get in my movie pod. The new James Bond's coming
I'm
out.
telling you, man.
I don't know. I think because of family and coronavirus, like Scooby-Doo, I think is going to knock it out the park. It'll probably make $100 million also because the movie actually does look decent. I just think when you get outside of the coronavirus, where everyone's not home all the time, kids got to go back to school. They got their sports. Bill and I have sports. We don't have to sit at home. I think the profits won't be as high. Now, like you said, they'll still get a higher percent. I know I'm fighting a losing war. I know theaters.
You sound like me in 3D right now, Steve.
I know theaters would be putting in that moving box and the tape slowly coming across the top.
Dude,
I know that.
Old tech written right on that box as this slide.
But I'm going to enjoy it. Just like I'm waiting for my family video down the street to open up, and I know they're going to die soon too. But let me enjoy it until it's over.
All right.
So there you go. And then lastly, in the movie world, not because everyone's really concerned about Oscars.
Yeah. This is priorities right now, right?
They are going to accept video streaming movies. So if Bond does go direct to DVD or direct to video streaming, it'll be eligible for an Oscar.
But now here's the rub. Let me play devil's advocate here. So Steven Spielberg got out in front and said, "Hey, look, man, Netflix movies shouldn't qualify." Now, does he have to eat a little bit of crow? You know what I mean? Like, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, they're all going to say, well, it's such extreme circumstances and such,
Yeah,
you know how that.
If the industry changes going forward, to your point,
well, in that article, they made sure that it specifically said only for this year and the special occasion. In the end, nobody's watching the Oscars anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Let me just ask a question for you guys. As I saw, and I know you're pivoting away from news or whatever, and I know we don't have any rants or whatever, so I just got a question for the group here today. So I saw the thing at Warren Buffett's, like, what is it, Berkshire Hathaway or whatever? Is that the name of the company he runs, BB? Yeah. He had his shareholders meeting, and he talked about how they're basically selling off the airline industry. They're basically saying that the airline industry is not going to be viable after this or during, you know what I mean? He's basically saying, like, the airline industry is going to... What industry, if you guys could say what industry you think is going to be vastly affected by what we're going through, do you guys have any opinions on an industry that is going to be vastly different going forward? In other words, in 2021, what is the landscape of an industry or a company? What do you got, Steve?
My first one is the restaurant industry. I think a lot of mom and pop shops aren't coming back after this. And then I was watching a thing on the news. There's some famous... it's in Detroit. I don't know the name of it. And what they're doing is they got plexiglass on wheels that they're going to try to push between tables. I mean, I just don't see. You're going to see a lot of independent restaurants going bye-bye. I feel that. And that'd be my gut feeling first. Even the big chains like Applebee's and them were hurting before this. So I think a lot of restaurants, I think, are going to be hurting. Bill, any thoughts?
Yeah.
One thing I think this is pretty much the nail in the coffin for department stores and for a big portion of brick and mortar retail, shopping malls, the Walmarts, the Targets and whatnot will survive, but
like a super center type thing will make it. But you're saying
your Macy's, your Kohl's, the stores that you find in malls, the very distinct things like your Hot Topics, the malls scale are so large that as the occupancy dwindles, that there's not going to be able, the people that own those are not going to be able to justify keeping them open with limited number of companies to put in. And I think that you're going to see the retailers that follow the trend and went, this kind of stepped up to things that were similar to like what Amazon provides. Like your Best Buys will find a way to survive because they've made the move. But I think you're going to see a drastic, sort of like, almost like the beginning of, well, definitely the beginning of, but possibly the absolute end of brick and mortar retail.
I think that to piggyback off Steve's point, I think you're going to see a change in the fast food industry. I think they're gonna go away from they're gonna go more like to like a rallies type situation where it's either drive through or a walk up. We don't offer any kind of in-house dine-in experience is what I think is gonna happen. Because it opens itself up to that much more life. Because like Chipotle was already working on before all this drama, like walk-up windows and stuff like that. So I think that you're not going to see you're going to see Taco Bells built in the next year or two that don't even have like that dine-in experience is what I think is going to happen. That's kind of my whole take on what's. And then to the Warren Buffett theory, how do you pack a plane so the plane margins are so you have to have a full plane in order to make money, but then how do you socially distance inside of a fuselage of a plane? You know what I mean? Like I don't know how they do that going forward.
There was a video on the news today. They're not. There was a flight from L.A. to Detroit. It was sold out.
How is that possible?
I don't know. And a fight broke out on it. The lady videotaped. This dude wanted to sleep, and he yelled at the other dude for being too loud. And the dude got up and just beat him in the head.
Whoa!
Spirit Airlines, L.A. to Detroit. It's on the news today.
Jesus Christ, man.
There's no social distancing, and everyone's punching each other in the face.
Yeah, 6 feet my ass. Here's my knuckle sandwich, son. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, let me take the other side of this, though, for a moment, too, which is trying to put some of this stuff in perspective. Yes, the world has changed. Things are probably going to be very different for an extended period of time. But at the same time, right, so this pandemic is the last one before that was, roughly 100 years ago.
The globally point, a catastrophic one? Yeah, it was 100, yeah.
Assuming that in a relatively timely fashion, they're able to come up with a vaccine and COVID is suddenly not as dire a problem as it is now, will we be able to adjust back to somewhat of the previous way of thinking where we'll start to be comfortable in crowds again and we'll start to be able to fill planes with the idea that, well, this is probably a massive catastrophic event that spanned a longer period than we ever expected, but chances are we won't see it again immediately within the next few years. It's probably a once in a century or once in every other century problem.
I would say you're incorrect in that assumption would be my rebuttal to you in that, because population explosion that's happened we live with population densities that are totally different than to 1918 when that original pan. So you can't apply that same 102-year timeline to this going forward. I think it's going to be more like Heather and I had this conversation here. This is going to be like more of the new normal. So as you have however many billions of people that live in India and however many billions of people live in China, you know what I mean? These populations. So the reason why all this started, or one of the reasons, is that wet market. And why do they have wet markets? Because you can't feed these people. You know what I mean? Like overpopulation and the fact that we're living longer and all this kind of stuff. Like in 1918, what was the life expectancy compared to 2020?
12.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You died of the polios when you were 30. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, I think it's going to be the new norm going forward. But I say that now, but the minute I went to a Lowe's and stuff like that, people don't seem to give a shit. Son. It is crazy out there, man.
Yeah,
I think
it's fair pushback. No, I'm saying it's a fair pushback.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like 9/11. I think there's gonna be extreme at first, and then as time goes on, everything's gonna slowly go back. And like we still have TSA right now, but. And we still do some of the, but you remember back in 9/11, there was tons of security procedures and stuff in place. And now at the airport is the only place you have to really deal with it. I mean, I think that's going to be the same way. So we're going to go everywhere. We're going to be 6 feet apart everywhere. We're all going to be wearing masks for a year or two. And then one day, forget the masks. And then one day,
how
forget
long do you
the
think we are going to
plexiglass.
wear the mask? Because the mask thing is surreal, dude. When you go to like the store,
Till
it
the
is.
fall. I'm going to guess till the fall.
Do you think it's going to become part of like cultural? Like, do you think think you're going to be okay
It's
with
that way in Japan, right?
That's what I'm
A
saying.
lot of
Like in
people in
Asian
Japan-
countries, it's just accepted. Do you guys think it'll be normal here?
I think especially if you're riding the bus or subways and stuff, I think you're going to see a lot of people wearing them. I just think everything takes time, right? So 5 years from now, maybe none of this is in place, and we're all going to be, hey, remember that 5 years ago when we were masks, we all died?
Yeah.
So I think it all, you got the extreme reaction, and then it just slowly, 9/11 is probably the only thing I can think of that's kind of like that. I wasn't around for the first plague or whatever, so I can't tell you how that one.
I don't know.
But
What do you guys think about like the vaccine and stuff? What if this is seasonal? You know what I mean? Like they claim it's going to be like flu 2.0. You're going to have to go get your flu shot and your corona shot every year. You know what I mean? Like
I'm fine with it. I'll get it done.
What do you guys think? You think that's going to be more the reality, or you think they're going to finally find a way to kind of wipe it all out? What do you guys have an opinion of it?
The reality will be a vaccine because there's probably more money in that. So, not to wipe it totally out, So now every year there's some giant medicine corporation is going to make billions of dollars, and that's fine. I'll take the tinfoil hats are out though. They're saying don't ever take a free vaccine for this because there's going to be a microchip in it. That's going to that's already hit Facebook. By the way,
dude, hit me with that chip, son. I don't want to get that Rona, baby. Hit me with the chip.
But like Bill said, there's already been like the Tom Hanks thing where they're trying to take his blood and replicate it to help people.
The antibodies,
There's already been breakthroughs in even the malaria drug and all these other drugs. So I feel sooner than later we're going to hit some kind of vaccine of some sort that's going to control it. If we can control AIDS, why can't we control?
Yeah, but AIDS hasn't gone away though. You got to understand, we got to control. But you still got to wear a condom. You know what I mean? Like don't not wear the condom, Steve.
Well, tell Bill that.
Oh Jesus! How long do you go ahead?
Decade to control AIDS.
Yeah,
it's not like they solved it in 18 months.
Yeah, but AIDS is a little more.
The problem is you can't catch AIDS just by going to the grocery store and picking up a box of macaroni and cheese. That's the thing that's scary. You get AIDS by banging somebody. You know what I mean? Like totally different combo. How long do you guys think the economy stays in the tank? What's the opinion going around the room on that one?
Till election time. All of a sudden, somehow it's going to get a little better. And Trump's going, look, I did this. You don't know how, but all of a sudden it'll go up and he'll be like, vote for me. I did that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
And all the Trump.
We got a letter in the mail from Trump, by the way. Did you guys get your letter about your direct deposit? Well, we know BV didn't because he didn't get no loot. But
Trump just Skype Bill. So
what do you think, BV? How long is the financial world screwed?
You know what? It's hard to say because some of it will depend on how quickly businesses can get back up and how well they can, like how many can stand back up in the first place. So I think there might be, like Steve was saying, there might be an early recovery. My concern, really more so than what happens now, is at some point when things get, well, quote unquote, back to normal, what kind of financial price are we going to have to pay for the
help we had during kind of thing?
These trillions of dollars that the government has pulled up to try to deal with, to try to prop the company or prop the country up, the money that they've given individuals, the money they've made available that are going to be allegedly all going to be forgiven for small businesses. That money is not something, I mean, it's a significant percentage of our GDP. There's no way there, at least there shouldn't be any way that can be done without there being long-term financial consequences.
Yeah.
But who the hell knows? Like Steve said, I mean, you might see the economy not actually recover, but they'll point to certain factors that give the appearance that there's a recovery. I think you could see a national economic recovery without there actually being like a Wall Street versus Main Street recovery. So, the stocks might come back up. The Dow might start to get most of its losses back. Then at the same time, people, regular people out in the street aren't really getting much of a benefit, or they're not seeing it. I think that's more likely to happen than a true recovery where everybody's back to, happiness and prosperity. That's probably a long way away.
I don't know. I just think, like I said, every time I've kind of been like, I don't know, man, I'm going to hunker down. That Lowe's, when I went to that Lowe's to get that goddamn chimney, I had just, people were out and like nothing was going on, baby. They were just out spending money, got that Trump check. They were just, it was unbelievable how many people were out there, dude.
Home Depot and Lowe's, you got to go in the morning. If you don't go in the morning, you're screwed.
It's just unbelievable. Like, people just don't care. And from when I was talking to someone at work, he went to like Belle Isle with his woman, and he said there's people everywhere at Belle Isle and stuff.
Serious?
Yeah, dude. He said they were socially distancing, they were keeping to themselves and stuff like that, but people are just out and about, man. People got that itch. They need the sun. They need that vitamin D, son. It's crazy. It's yeah.
I gotta stop for that shit.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, there you go.
Got his nature maids.
Like you
I don't have to leave the house.
Questions, you brought up other questions to me too. Like, for example, when Steve's talking about, well, it'll probably be a vaccine because it'll make more money that way. Well, so we all know that this is a national, or world health emergency right now. But if it becomes seasonal and they have a vaccine for it, are we going to get ourselves into are we going to turn into a society where either you have a job and have good insurance, or else you're basically playing Russian roulette with your life every year because,
Did you
can't
get your
access
vaccine or not? Yeah.
Because are they really going to make the vaccine, especially when you put the profit motive behind it all? Are they going to make that vaccine available to everybody? Or is it going to be just people with proper insurance? Because I don't suspect that by the time they get a vaccine in place, that everybody's going to stay along that whole, greater good of the world philosophy, and the companies that are developing it are going to start looking to pay off on it.
Yeah.
So things could go in so many different directions. It's hard to say.
Well, according to this website, $50 or more is what the flu vaccine costs. Without $66.99 at CVS.
Oh shit! Let me get over there.
And the price, at Costco is $19.99. So I don't know. So the price is
welcome to U.S. healthcare. You know what I mean? A $40 drop makes no sense.
You know it's not going to be free. Period. It's not going to happen for free. So
we'll see. Do you get a flu shot, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Do you also, because for me now this year, for the first time, or last fall, for the first time, I also got a pneumonia shot. Apparently, part of the diabetes thing is it makes you more susceptible to getting pneumonia. So when I had never even gotten a flu shot before until a couple of years ago, and the reason that I ended up getting it was because the doctor convinced me that there's certain heart benefits for it too. So I finally reluctantly, because I never catch the flu, I was pretty reluctant and said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then this year's like, well, you're more at risk to catch pneumonia when you're a diabetic. So now I guess I'm getting both shots every year going forward. But.
And your Rona shot on top of it. You're about to get a cocktail every winter. Yeah, dude.
No, when did Scott's dad die? 6 years ago? 5 years ago? Somewhere in there. It was right around Christmas time I got the flu. I didn't get a shot that year. I didn't get it religiously all the time. And I was down for 3 days and I felt like crap. So ever since then, every year, give me that flu shot.
I don't want to gooch this and put it out in the universe, but I can't tell you the last time I think I've had the flu. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's been a long time.
Do you get a shot every year?
No, I don't. But like you said, like you remember when you had it because it just wipes you out. Yeah.
I had water coming out one end, puke out the other. I missed Scott's dad's funeral because of it. I had to stay home. I was like, I can't make his whole family sick.
Yeah.
What?
I got it a few years ago, and it had been the first time in at least 15 years that I'd gotten it.
Just wiped you out, huh? Just kicked your ass?
Well, it was just, it wouldn't really kick my ass. I had the whole thing where you're coming out of both ends, and that's really, really uncomfortable. But other than that, I mean, I felt bad for a day or two, and then once that stabilized, it was fine. It wasn't like worse, but I literally had not gotten a flu. I think the last time I'd gotten a flu, I was still living with my parents at the house in Livonia, and it was like New Year's Day. So it had to be like in the early to mid 90s before I'd had one since. So I didn't really see much benefit in getting a flu shot. I said, well, it's a use. I don't catch anything anyway.
Yeah, I was like that too. And the thing that always gets me is I'm sweating and I'm hot. Next minute I'm freezing.
Yeah.
I'm sweating.
The up and downs. Getting a fever as an adult is very mind numbing to you. It's just like, dude, Yeah, I remember the one time I was probably, mid-20s or whatever, got a fever and like I couldn't touch my fingers together. Like I had like 4 fingers. I'm like, that ain't right. Like,
No, that was a stroke.
yeah,
that wasn't
dude, it was brutal. I was like, never again, dude. So anyway.
Well, all right. People don't want to listen to us talk about our fat guy medical problems. So but that is going to do us for this week. You can catch us on fatguyslittlepodcast.com. Of course, Google Play, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you can find iTunes, or podcasts, sorry. Of course, I'd like to thank our guest, BV, over there, without his face mask.
Yeah.
I can bring one next week if you'd like.
Yeah, fat ninjas all over the place.
Yeah.
And, of course, this is Steve and
Charles.
Catch you next week.